Hard work doesn't always equal productivity. Before you swipe up, let me explain. This could be the secret to your success. So here's the thing. As a CEO of my own company, I handle my own employees. They're the people that keeps my business running. Now, I hire employees that bring value to my company. To be more specific, I prioritize efficiency. If I were to hire someone that can finish 10 tasks in 4 hours, than someone who finishes 3 in 10 hours, then you can pretty much tell which one holds more potential. Let's get one thing straight. Working overtime doesn't always translate to getting stuff done. So when it comes to being productive, the thing that is very, very important is what your output is. A lot of the time you make your to-do list, you think about your large projects that you need to accomplish. And most of the time, there are very specific things that move the needle that make the biggest difference in the business. And a lot of time people get stuck doing things that are just not important, or they're of lower quality result or lower quality output. And to determine what is most productive, you have to think about what is the most important thing of the day in regards to what it is that you do and what you're responsible for. Sometimes it could be writing copy. Other times it could be making phone calls. There are many times where it's something simple as doing administrative work that's related to the next stage of the thing you need to do. It could be delegating. For a lot of managers or people in my position, it's about delegating most of the time. It could be just making the vision for what you want to do. It's deciding, okay, this is the direction we're going to go. This is what the product's going to be, and this is what we're going to do next. It could be choosing the role of the person that needs to be done. It's giving someone an assignment and then giving them the ownership of that task or of that project. Because the thing is, when it comes to someone being productive in a business, and if you're an employee or a staff member, or team member, or a contractor in a business, it really does come down to getting the results. A lot of the time, what the business owner wants, and I can just tell you this by experience, by working at gyms as a trainer, as working as a CEO, as a contractor, as a business owner in my own business, it really does come down to sales most of the time. Anything related to sales is what people care most about. The bigger businesses that don't care about sales, they do care about sales, but because you're in a role that's like customer service oriented, or you're like trying to improve the customer experience, you're not in that position. But for people who are starting their own business and they're getting started, or they're just maybe at a startup, everything is related to sales. And anything that improves conversion rate, anything that improves getting more traffic, anything that improves really getting big customers sometimes is the thing to focus on. So anytime you can put yourself in that position, the better you are at being productive and determining what productivity is. Like in the role of social media and what I do with my social media team, a lot has to do with just being able to create good content. The difficult part here, it has a lot to do with me. It means I have to produce the content. But I have my team who helps me write scripts. I have editors that make the edits, but I have other people manage that. And the thing is, for me to be productive, or for my team to be productive, is being able to present to me what I need to read, what I need to spend time on, and where I need to work on with the time that I have. Because one of the challenges with social media is how much time it takes to get good. Especially for someone, it's going to take longer for me to learn, or longer for me to get good at. There is this thing that's saying you shouldn't work more. And I think the reality is, if you're not good at something, you're just going to have to. In a perfect world, you'd be so good and you'd be so skilled and you don't have to work very much at it. And I see some of these people, when I went to school, in grade school, there's people who are just super smart. But the reality is, when I look back to when I was younger and I got mediocre grades, the reality is, if I wanted to get A's, I would have to work 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 times harder than most people, spending more time on that thing. And honestly, that's probably my biggest secret, is really that I can just spend more time working on something than another person. And then after you put in the time at getting good and working very, very hard and spending time on that thing, then the quantity turns into quality, because then you begin to understand what is good and what isn't good. And that's really what helps change and move the needle for how you're going to improve yourself and improve the next level stage of your growth and development. So when you think about putting extra hours in your business or extra hours in your work, I think a lot of the time you need to look at it as you're putting extra hours in yourself. One of my favorite philosophers, mentors, online mentors really, is Jim Rohn. He's long past, God rest his soul, but he always says, work harder on yourself than you do at your job. It's really about the extra work you put in has a lot more to do with how it affects you inside. How it makes you sharper, how it makes you better. It's not about improving the business. Don't get me wrong, you want to help the business get better, but a lot of the time it's really about how much it makes you better, how much it makes you stronger for either how you're going to help this business grow, or how you're going to get to the next stage of your business or the next stage of your development. Because sometimes that's most of what it is. We're all trying to grow. We either grow our own thing or we want to grow with other people, but there's one thing we do want. We all want to grow. We all want to get better. And the only way you're going to do that is if you put in extra work. I think people want to think that it doesn't take a lot of time to be successful. And the truth is, if it's something you're not good at, it's going to take a lot of time. And if it's something that you care about getting good at, then you're going to have to put in more time. But hey, you never know. There might be something that you're just naturally good at, and that might be the thing that you should spend time on. And that's the tough part about this being productive and spending more hours. It's like, if you want to get good at something that you're not good at, it's going to take 10 times longer. If it's something that you're naturally good at, maybe you should stay there. Like for me, data analytics for me. I'm a big data analytics guy. I'm very good at that kind of stuff. I like that stuff. I can spend hours on that. But the thing is that bothers me a lot of time, it's just not as big of a leverage. I need to work more on copy. Even though I'm good at that too, but I'm not as naturally good on data analytics. And that's the thing. It's finding that spot of where you want to go. And sometimes, you do have to give up or switch tasks on the thing that you are maybe not as good at. But at the end of the day, it really just kind of comes down to what you want to accomplish and where you want to spend your effort in. And if you want to spend that time on the thing that you're not necessarily good at but has the biggest leverage, go for it. Like that's what makes having a job sort of easy, because you're just told what to do. Or you have a role and you just do those things related to that role. When you're your own business, or you're starting your own freelance business, or whatever you're trying to do, that's your own thing. Determining what generates sales is often always the most important thing. And that's always stuff that is simple. Scheduling appointments, generating leads, making phone calls, cold outreach. And if you do that 20 times a day for 100 days, you're going to make a sale. Like guaranteed. Prioritize tasks is what is the goal, what is the outcome, and then what is the thing that you need to do to get that outcome. There's always something that you need to do that needs to be done, whether you do it or you delegate someone else to do it, for something to be done. Like I always have this argument with my friends. Sometimes we used to debate about like what needs to be done in his business for his canvas print business. And one of the things that we always fight about is I was like, you need to be focusing on the ads. But what he did instead was he focused on finding someone else to do the ads. It's the same thing, except that I'm more preference of getting in the weeds and looking at the ads and looking at the data, because I'm that kind of a person. And he's more like, okay, I'm going to find someone to do it. He prioritized finding the person to do it as opposed to me prioritizing doing the thing. There are things that feel productive, and then there's actual productivity. I think that's the part that's hard a lot of the time, is that things that feel productive are not always as productive. It just comes down to your outcome. So if your outcome is to get to a certain place, are you driving in that direction? It's that simple. So if I'm in Las Vegas, and if I want to get to California, and that's the goal, what's productivity? I define productivity as how close I get there. Am I moving in that direction? And that applies to making a sales letter or offer, or it comes down to selling things, right? Are you moving in the direction of the goal? And sometimes that's not always easy to measure depending on how big the project is. It simply is like, are you getting closer to the outcome or goal that you're trying to hit? And that's the determination of your productivity.